In 1909, a hidden world was whispered into existence, a world inside the Grand Canyon, a world filled with Egyptian artifacts, underground tunnels, and something so strange, the Smithsonian allegedly erased it from history. But what exactly did two explorers claim to find? And why does no one talk about it now? The mysterious newspaper that started everything. The story begins on April 5, 1909. A regular day, a regular newspaper, the Arizona Gazette. But what appeared inside its pages was anything but regular. The headline read, "Explorations in the Grand Canyon. Remarkable finds indicate ancient people migrated from the Orient." It described an expedition financed by the Smithsonian Institution, led by a man named Professor S.A. Jordan, and the explorer who actually discovered the entrance, G.E. Kincaid, a veteran and skilled outdoorsman. According to the article, Kincaid found something unusual while traveling down the Colorado River. High up on a canyon wall, about 2,000 feet above the river, he spotted a dark opening. The entrance was shaped like a tunnel cut by intelligent hands. Inside, a massive underground city. The article claimed mummies' carvings in what appeared to be Egyptian-style weapons, a vast chamber filled with artifacts, even a room shaped like a serpent. But here's where the mystery begins. The Arizona Gazette printed the story, and then it vanished. No other newspapers covered it. No Smithsonian records exist of Kincaid or Jordan. No artifacts were ever shown to the public, almost as if the story was never supposed to be told. But what exactly did the explorers say they saw inside that underground city? Inside the underground complex, let's step into the tunnels as Kincaid described them. He claimed the entrance led through a long passageway. So smooth, it felt carved, not natural. The first chamber was enormous, large enough to hold 50,000 people, according to Kincaid. On the walls, symbols carved in a style that looked not Native American, but distinctly Egyptian. There were statues, too. Some shaped like Egyptian gods, others shaped like animals. Kincaid described rows of mummies, shorter than modern humans, wrapped in what resembled ancient bandages. And then, the strangest detail, a Buddha-like idol sitting cross-legged, Egyptian, Asian, Native American, all inside one hidden city? How? Why? And who built it? People in 1909 didn't have Photoshop, no AI, no cinematic effects. Someone would have had to invent this story out of thin air, or actually see something. And yet, as soon as the article appeared, no one ever spoke of it again. But here's what makes the mystery even deeper. The Grand Canyon has restricted zones even today, including one area with an extremely strange name, the Forbidden Zones of the Grand Canyon. Now we step into territory that raises real questions. Today, certain parts of the Grand Canyon are completely off limits to the public. No hiking, no camping, no aerial photography, no drones. The most protected area? A region on the north side of the canyon with a cluster of Egyptian-sounding names. These are real official names. Tower of Set Tower of Ra Horus Temple, Osiris Temple, Isis Temple, all named after Egyptian gods, by government geologists in the late 1800s. Why were American explorers naming Grand Canyon peaks after Egyptian deities before the Arizona Gazette story ever came out? Coincidence? Maybe. But it gets stranger. Some of these locations are extremely steep, almost impossible to reach, and just happen to be near the exact region the 1909 story described. Even more suspicious, the U.S. government designates some of these areas as sensitive wildlife zones, but no public research, no photography, and no scientific teams have been allowed inside for decades. What are they protecting? Wildlife? Ancient structures? Or simply a story they would rather the world forget? But before we assume conspiracy, we need to face a real question. Did the Smithsonian truly dismiss the story? And why? The Smithsonian denial and the vanishing records. Now we arrive at the most controversial part of this entire story. The Smithsonian Institution. According to the 1909 article, The Hidden City expedition was funded by the Smithsonian. It even named an archaeologist, Professor S.A. Jordan. So naturally, researchers today tried to find records. And what did the Smithsonian say? They claim no G.E. Kincaid ever worked with them. No Professor Jordan existed in their archaeology department. No expedition in 1909 ever took place. No Egyptian artifacts were ever removed from the Grand Canyon. All of this is stated clearly on their official website and in multiple interviews. Case closed? Not exactly, because something strange happened. Independent researchers discovered that Smithsonian annual reports from the early 1900s often list destroyed, lost, or unclassified artifacts. Dozens of them, especially ones involving Native American burial finds. It's well documented that early institutions in the U.S. often collected and destroyed artifacts they considered non-conforming to accepted history. So when the Smithsonian says, "We have no record of this," the question becomes, was there truly no record? Or was the record simply never meant to survive? But here's the oddest part. The original 1909 article does mention the Smithsonian. It wasn't a rumor. It wasn't a blog post. It wasn't a hoax website. It was a printed newspaper in the early 1900s, when journalism had legal standards. Why risk naming the Smithsonian unless something real was happening? But while the Smithsonian denies everything, modern explorers have found new clues buried deep in the canyon's restricted zones. Modern evidence and unsolved questions. In the last few decades, hikers, researchers, and even helicopter pilots have reported seeing unusual things near the restricted Egyptian-named areas. Strange openings in canyon walls, smooth surfaces that look carved, tunnels sealed with enormous boulders. Park rangers refuse to comment. Some say the caves were natural. Others claim they saw man-made shapes. Even more surprising, a 2015 study published in the Journal of Archaeological Science found that ancient transoceanic contact was not impossible, pointing to similarities in symbols, burial practices, and architecture across ancient cultures. It doesn't prove Egyptians reached America, but it raises the question, if cultures around the world shared ideas thousands of years ago, why couldn't Egyptians have reached the Grand Canyon? And here's another fact the public rarely hears. In 1908, just 1 year before the Gazette article, the U.S. government created the Grand Canyon National Monument, restricting massive areas from mining, excavation, and exploration. Was it to protect natural beauty? Probably. But the timing could not be more suspicious, because the official restriction map overlaps almost perfectly with the area where the underground city was allegedly found. Coincidence or cover-up? One more strange detail. In 1987, a group of hikers claimed they were approached by government officials after getting too close to a sealed cave. Their camera footage was allegedly erased on site. No one knows what they saw, but the story echoes the same warning. Somewhere inside the Grand Canyon, there may be a chapter of human history we're not allowed to read. And now, as we reach the end, we must confront the biggest question of all. What really happened in 1909? Let's step back and look at the pieces. A 1909 newspaper claims an Egyptian-like city was found. 2 explorers are named. The Smithsonian is named. No records exist today. The area is now restricted. Peaks nearby have Egyptian names. Reports of sealed caves still emerge. Modern research shows ancient global contact is possible. So what happened? 3 theories dominate the debate. 1, it was a hoax. Some historians argue the Arizona Gazette simply wanted to sell newspapers. No proof, no photos, no artifacts, just words. But then, why include real names, real departments, and real locations? 2, the expedition was real, but misinterpreted. Maybe Kincaid did find something. But it wasn't Egyptian, it was Native American. And the Smithsonian took it, classified it, and disappeared it, like they did with many other finds during that era. This would explain the secrecy, the vanishing records, the inconsistent statements. 3, the discovery was something much bigger. Maybe explorers found something so unexpected, so ancient, so historically disruptive, that institutions chose silence over chaos. Because if Egyptians reached America 3,000 years ago, history books would have to be rewritten, and not everyone wants that. So, what do you believe? Is the 1909 story just a forgotten newspaper myth, a misunderstood archaeological discovery, or evidence of an ancient civilization that crossed oceans and left its secrets deep inside the Grand Canyon? The truth is still buried, locked behind restricted zones, lost in vanished records, and sealed inside caves the public cannot enter. But maybe, one day, someone will open the door again. What do you think really happened in 1909? Did explorers find an ancient Egyptian city? Comment your theory below. I'm reading every reply.